The first time Princess Aelira of House Seraphel saw a human, she did not scream. That alone unsettled the entire imperial court. The chamber was carved from living crystal, glowing softly with bioluminescent veins that pulsed in rhythm with the Empire's ancient heart engine. Around her stood admirals, war scholars, and psionic sentinels, beings who had subjugated 1,000 star systems without once doubting their supremacy. Yet when the human envoy was escorted inside, bound only by diplomatic courtesy and not restraints, Aelira felt something coil in her chest. The human was smaller than expected, soft-looking even, wrapped in plain dark fabric with no visible weapons. Still, her frills tightened, her tail stiffened, and her breath came shallow. She leaned toward the throne and whispered, her voice trembling despite herself, "Father, that human is different." Emperor Caliph the Eternal regarded her calmly. His many eyes glimmered with ancient amusement. "Different how, my daughter?" he asked, his voice echoing through the hall like distant thunder. The Seraphel Empire had catalogued humanity as a minor species from a backwater spiral arm, recently spacefaring, fractious, technologically uneven. Hardly worth fear. The human ambassador stood patiently, hands clasped behind his back, posture relaxed but alert. He did not kneel. That alone would have been considered arrogance from any other species, yet Caliph allowed it. Aelira searched the human's face, trying to read his emotional field, but found only a strange stillness, like a deep ocean that refused to ripple. "He is not projecting submission," she said softly, "nor defiance. It's restraint." The court murmured. Restraint was not a trait admired in galactic politics. Power was meant to be displayed, dominance declared. The human finally spoke, his voice even and warm, carried through a translator node hovering near his throat. "Your Majesty, I am Elias Morgan, representing the United Terran Coalition. I appreciate the honor of this audience." He met Caliph's gaze without challenge, without fear. Aelira's psionic senses brushed against him again, harder this time, and recoiled. Beneath the calm exterior was something vast, compressed, disciplined, and held back by deliberate choice. Like a star caged within human flesh. She shuddered. "Father," she whispered again, "he feels like a weapon that chose not to fire." Caliph leaned forward slightly, interest sharpening his ancient features. "You speak boldly for a child who has never seen true war," he replied, though not unkindly. Turning back to Elias, he gestured for him to continue. The human explained humanity's request plainly: non-aggression, mutual trade, shared exploration of the outer voids. No tribute, no submission, just cooperation. The court scoffed openly. A minor species asking equality from the Seraphel Empire was absurd. One of the admirals laughed, mandibles clicking. "And what," he sneered, "do humans offer that would justify such audacity?" Elias did not raise his voice. "Perspective," he said, "and consequences." The word hung in the air, heavy. Aelira's hearts beat faster. She felt it again, that deep, unsettling pressure behind the human's calm. Caliph studied him for a long moment, then smiled. "You threaten us?" he asked mildly. Elias shook his head. "No, Your Majesty. I warn you, there is a difference." The translator rendered the words perfectly, but their meaning rippled beyond language. Aelira suddenly remembered her tutor's lessons on predator species, those that hunted not with claws, but with patience and planning. Humans, she realized, were not weak. They were controlled. And control, when broken, was terrifying. The meeting ended without bloodshed, but without agreement. Elias was escorted out, and the court erupted into debate. Many called for preemptive conquest. Human systems were close enough to be absorbed with minimal effort. Caliph listened, silent. Aelira could not. "Father, please," she said, stepping forward. "You didn't feel what I felt. That human wasn't lying. Their species is dangerous in a way we don't understand." An admiral scoffed. "Princess, your empathy makes you imaginative. We have crushed war beasts twice their size." Caliph raised a hand, silencing them. "Enough. We will observe humanity further. No action yet." Aelira exhaled in relief, though unease still coiled within her. Observation did not last long. Within 2 cycles, a Seraphel border fleet clashed with a human exploratory convoy near the Kepri Rift. It was meant to be a demonstration, overwhelming force, minimal casualties. Instead, the humans retreated in perfect order, luring the fleet through unstable space. When the trap was sprung, no Seraphel ships were destroyed outright, but every system was disabled simultaneously. Precision strikes. No celebration followed from human channels. Only a single transmission. This was restraint. Aelira watched the footage in stunned silence. The humans could have killed them all.
They chose not to.
Fear spread through the Empire like a cold mist. Caliph summoned Aelira to his private sanctum. The old emperor looked tired for the first time in her life. "You were right," he admitted quietly. "They fight like scholars and mourn like artists. What kind of species balances destruction so carefully?" Aelira swallowed. "One that knows what happens when it doesn't." She had begun studying human history in secret. World wars, near extinctions, weapons that scarred their own planet. Humanity had stared into the abyss and stepped back, not because they couldn't fall, but because they understood the cost. Caliph closed his eyes. "I underestimated them. And now we must choose. Domination or coexistence." Before a decision could be made, the void answered for them. An extragalactic swarm, ancient, relentless, burst into known space, consuming systems without negotiation. The Seraphel fleets engaged and were shattered. Psionic weapons failed. Ancient strategies crumbled. Panic seized the Empire. In desperation, Caliph did what no emperor before him had done. He sent a message to Earth. Not a demand. A plea. The response came within minutes. "We're on our way," Elias said. "No speeches. No conditions. Just action." Human fleets arrived not in overwhelming numbers, but in perfect coordination. They adapted mid-battle, learned the swarm's patterns, sacrificed ships to save civilians, Seraphel civilians. Aelira watched from the command nexus as humans fought like beings who knew loss intimately and refused to accept it again. When the final swarm core detonated, the silence that followed was reverent. Humanity did not claim territory. They did not demand tribute. They simply began helping rebuild. Caliph bowed his head in public acknowledgement of a debt that could never be repaid. Later, as reconstruction lights glittered across space, Aelira met Elias again. This time, she did not tremble. "You saved us," she said. Elias smiled faintly. "We saved each other. That's the point." She studied him, finally understanding. Humans were not different because they were stronger. They were different because they chose when not to be. She returned to her father's side and spoke clearly, without fear. "Father, that human isn't normal." Caliph smiled, a rare, genuine expression. "No, my daughter. They are something far more dangerous and far more hopeful. They are human.